In the silent backstage of the human mind, a war is being fought. Quiet, invisible, but relentless. It doesn't show up in your browser history. It won't scream at you in the middle of the night. But it is there, every second, chiseling away at the gap between who you are and who you pretend to be. This isn't about dramatic breakdowns or explosive emotions. It's about that subtle, persistent voice that whispers, "Tomorrow I'll start." It's about the version of you that exists only in your imagination, flawless, successful, fearless, and the painful truth that you haven't done much to actually become them. In a world addicted to image, where curated perfection is a currency, fantasy has become the most abused drug you've never heard of, and like any drug, it's soothing until it starts destroying. Jean-Paul Sartre didn't need TikTok or therapy jargon to call this out. Long before self-help became an industry, Sartre nailed it. Human beings are masters of self-deception. We lie to ourselves not out of ignorance, but out of fear. He called this bad faith, the act of pretending we don't have a choice when we absolutely do. Think of the moments you've mentally rehearsed success instead of chasing it, dreamt of love instead of risking heartbreak, planned a passion project in your head, only to watch another year slip by without writing a single page. That isn't laziness. That's fantasy being used as armor. And that's the trap. You convince yourself that imagining is progress, that planning is action, that intention equals change, but it doesn't. You can be busy in your mind and still be stagnant in your life. Sartre argued that humans are condemned to be free. It sounds poetic, but it's a brutal truth. You are not shaped by fate, not defined by circumstance. You are whatever you choose to become or refuse to become. So why do so many of us avoid that freedom? Because real freedom is terrifying. There are no scripts, no fallback excuses, no one else to blame. Just you, standing in front of a wide-open life you haven't dared to step into. And that's where fantasy becomes the most comfortable prison. Instead of risking rejection, we imagine perfect relationships. Instead of starting messy, we wait for clarity that never comes. In our heads, we're bold, talented, loved. In reality, we're scared, motionless, disconnected from the raw friction of actual living. It's not just tragic, it's dangerous. Because every day spent in fantasy is a day robbed from reality. Let's get painfully honest. When was the last time you took a real risk? Not a thought, not a plan, a messy, sweaty, uncertain leap. If it's been a while, then maybe you're not living. You're simulating life, safe in a mental theater where everything goes right, but nothing is real. This is what Sartre meant by self-betrayal. Bad faith isn't some rare condition. It's your default setting when you start believing your own inner monologue more than the evidence of your life. You say, "I'll try when the time is right." But deep down you know the right time doesn't exist. You're hiding. Let's say you want to write a book. You spend years building worlds in your head, imagining interviews, covers, praise, but never write. You're not getting closer. You're just high on potential. Or maybe you idealize love. You crave depth, romance, passion. But the moment a real connection gets vulnerable, you shut down. You say you want intimacy, but your actions protect you from it at all costs. This isn't harmless. It's a form of slow death. Fantasy gives you the feeling of being alive, without requiring any actual risk. It numbs you, insulates you, and feeds you false progress. Over time, you lose the very muscles needed for living: resilience, presence, action. This is what Sartre saw as the ultimate escape, the refusal to own your freedom. You tell yourself you're preparing, that you're learning, that you're not quite ready, But here's the truth. That's the story you tell to avoid the discomfort of choosing, and the longer you repeat it, the more convincing it becomes. You might even start believing that comfort equals progress, that just because you feel safe and stable, you're doing fine. But comfort is deceptive. It tells you everything's okay while keeping you exactly where you are. It becomes a beautifully decorated cell filled with plans that never leave your mind. The cost? Years, dreams, relationships, potential, a full life that never got lived because it always existed just a little further down the road. This is the trap we need to break, because no matter how much you avoid it, you can't escape your own freedom. You were born with it, and every time you refuse to choose, you are still choosing. You're choosing not to act. You're choosing stagnation, even when it's dressed up as self-care or strategy. If that hits you in the gut, good, that's your signal. It means you're still alive enough to feel it. Don't stop now. You owe it to yourself to finish this. The idea that one day you'll wake up ready, fully confident, prepared, unafraid, is one of the most seductive lies you've ever believed. That day doesn't come. It never has. It never will. What you're waiting for is a feeling, a green light from your gut that says it's safe now. But that signal only shows up after you've already jumped, not before. Sartre knew this. He said, "We do not act because we are ready. We act, and by acting, we become." You want clarity? Move. You want confidence? Move. You want to become the person you keep imagining? Then stop imagining and move. It won't be perfect. In fact, it'll probably suck at first. You'll fumble. You'll second guess. You'll feel like a fraud. But none of that means you're failing. It means you're finally showing up in the real world. Authentic life is messy. It's riddled with contradictions, awkward starts, and unpredictable outcomes. That's not a problem. That's the point. That's where growth happens. The artist who posts their imperfect work, the person who confesses their feelings and risks rejection, the individual who steps into something without knowing how it ends. Those are the people who are actually living. And those are the people Sartre would call free. Not because they have no fear, but because they stop letting fear dictate the shape of their life. This is what most people miss. Freedom isn't about endless options. It's not about waiting for conditions to align. It's about choosing, with shaky hands and a pounding heart, and taking responsibility for whatever comes next. The only way out of the prison of fantasy is through the door of action. It doesn't matter if you don't feel ready. It doesn't matter if you fail. What matters is that you made a choice. You stepped into your own life. This is where Sartre's philosophy hits the hardest. It removes every excuse. You don't get to say, "That's just how I am." You don't get to blame fate or your past or bad timing, because even if you didn't choose your starting point, you're choosing your direction every single day. Even not choosing is a choice. So are you choosing to remain still? Because here's the cost: years of almost, a pile of what ifs, a lifetime that only existed in your mind, never in the world. And this isn't abstract. This is your life. Your unlived book, your unsent message, your unused courage, your real flesh and blood existence that is slipping by while you wait for a sign. This is the part where you need to decide, not tomorrow, now. Because the truth is, fantasy doesn't need to be your enemy. It can be a map, a sketch, a starting point, but it was never meant to be your home. Use it, then move. The moment you step into the real, everything changes. Yes, it's harder. Yes, it hurts. But it also counts. And once you taste that, the raw, unscripted pulse of reality, you'll never want to go back to dreaming your life instead of living it. So let's get brutally honest one more time. You are not stuck because you don't know what to do. You're stuck because you've convinced yourself you need to feel ready first, and that's the lie keeping you trapped. Here's what Sartre would say to you right now. You are free. That's the problem, and that's the gift. So what will you do with it? Will you wait until every light is green, every variable is certain, and every fear is gone? Or will you act exactly as you are, in the face of doubt, and finally live? Because no one is coming to give you permission. No one is coming to make it easier. This is it. This is your life, and it's already happening. With or without you. Now you have a decision to make, not a perfect one, just a real one. That is the point where everything begins. If this message cut through the noise for you, if it sparked even a flicker of uncomfortable clarity, don't let it die here. Let it push you. Tell me in the comments, what's the one thing you've been fantasizing about that you know it's time to act on? No more theory, no more waiting. The stage is set, the lights are on. Now step out and live the scene. Because real life only starts when you stop pretending. If you've made it this far, you're not just scrolling, you're searching for something deeper. Thanks for trusting me with your mind. If this spoke to you, like the video, hit subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to reclaim their power. Until next time, stay sharp and think deeper.